Welcome everyone to Unmatched episode 2. Um, Firstly, we want to thank you for the people who have watched episode 1 so far. We appreciate the support so far, and let's just continue to build and see where this thing goes. I mean, how can you not love talking sports? Especially us three, we've known each other for years. We've gone back and forth on so many occasions outside of this space for years. So yeah, just continue to support, and we will continue to bring episodes to you weekly. I'm looking better now, less scruffy than I was episode 1, so that's good. Thank God. So obviously, the first thing we got to talk about, my guy, Patrick Mahomes, winning his third Super Bowl MVP, all by the age of 28. We were all watching the Super Bowl together, actually, now that I remember. Just
shout out for 8 years of tradition.
Yeah, shout out to Barufa for almost a decade of a Super Bowl tradition. Let's hope we can get these next 2 years to confirm that.
Yeah.
We lost a year because of COVID, but that don't count. Rufa, let's start with you. What was your takeaways from the game?
I think for me, it was like a game of missed opportunities by San Fran.
Yeah.
I think they finished the game with 2 turnovers and got 0 points from them. And I feel like not the biggest reason, but like a major factor in the game was the missed extra point. The game doesn't go to overtime if they get that right. The game's done in regulation. They win the Super Bowl. Shit happens sometimes, and I also feel like San Fran's major weapons didn't come to play, at least in the offense.
Outside of McCaffrey, I would say.
Yeah, no, McCaffrey's McCaffrey. He's gonna eat. He finished what 160 all-purpose yards or something like that. But like Debo finished with 3 catches, 40 yards. Kittle had 2 catches for like 4 yards. I know Kittle got hurt, but that was the start of overtime.
And Brandon Ayuk had 3 receptions for 49 yards.
Yeah, it's just I know Debo got hurt in the middle of the game, so that might have been a factor. But just for him, 3 catches for 40 yards isn't good enough from one of your most dynamic players on your team.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I was nervous because I had picked the Chiefs to beat the Niners in the Super Bowl at the start of the playoffs. And I was nervous for a good part of the game because the Chiefs offense was just not looking good. And honestly, that was probably the best the Niners defense looked
in months.
You know what I mean? In months. They came out, the pass rush, Chase Young, Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, in that for essentially the first half, they were all over Mahomes. It wasn't as bad as Mahomes running around in Super Bowl against the Bucs, but it had that type of vibe to it where it was just like he's running for his life. Pacheco couldn't get the run game going at that particular moment in time. But then at some point in the game, I don't know what it was. I just felt like this confidence come out of nowhere. I'm like, he's not losing this game.
It felt like after he threw the pick, it felt like there was a little switch there because they started off the second half with 2 plays in, he threw a pick, and then it just felt like it switched after that, and it looked like they were going to eventually come out with the victory. Anything San Fran did, it looked like they just had an answer to it.
It was definitely second half, but I mean, the unsung hero of KC is also their defense that no one talks about. You held them to what, 1 touchdown?
2.
2 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
So
McCaffrey and Juwan Jennings.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you held them to 2 touchdowns in a Super Bowl finals when you talk Kansas, you don't talk their defense. That has gotten better every single year since their first Super Bowl, right? So no one talks about that. And then I think the pivotal point of the game was the blocked field goal. that one point I think changed.
Yeah, extra point.
So I think that along with just the switch flipping were the two pivotal moments for Kansas City. And like I just find they're always second half team as well. Like we've seen this countless, right? So it's like I didn't expect them to slump, but I also didn't expect like a complete flip of the switch.
Well, in all 3 Super Bowls that they won, they were down 10 in each game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That not muffed punt, but the punt that bounced off of, I can't, his name's escaping me, but it hit a 49ers foot.
Yeah.
And then, everyone was saying, drop on the ball, don't try to pick it up and play hero ball, just fall down on it.
Yeah.
Didn't. Chiefs recover, they go down and score a touchdown. Like all those factors, like that's why at halftime, I'm just like, Paul, you mentioned unsung heroes, the defense. The Niners couldn't capitalize. The Chiefs were getting nothing going. They should have been up 17-3, 21-3, whatever, at the end of the first half, and they weren't, right? If they were, maybe we would be having a different conversation. And, they came out with the Super Bowl mic'd up. I watched a bit of it. I didn't watch all 4, I believe it's 41 minutes. I didn't watch all 41 minutes yet. But I've watched the first 10 minutes or so, and I don't know what the Niners players it didn't seem convincing.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they were talking, and I'm watching this on YouTube from a distance. What do I know? But I'm listening to them talk, and I'm just like, these guys just don't sound like, I don't want to say, maybe confidence not the right word, but it doesn't sound like they're gonna win. Right? Whereas like the Chiefs, you listen to the Chiefs sideline, there's so much more raw emotion. There's a lot less nervous energy. I felt like the Niners had a lot of nervous energy. When you listen to Kittle talking, like Kittle is not someone that usually has nervous energy to him. And when I'm listening to him talk on the sidelines, he's talking to Chase Young. It just didn't sound like deep down in their heart, they felt like they were going to win. Maybe just nerves, just the nerve aspect of it. And that kind of goes into preparation, right? Because Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback for the 49ers, like the guys didn't even know overtime rules.
Yeah, that was crazy to me.
That's crazy. That's crazy, right? Like, I don't know how that was a big deal when it had happened, that the OT rules had changed and you didn't know. Like, I don't know. That was really off.
Especially a team coached by Shanahan that went to overtime in a
Super
lost
Bowl. Yeah.
So it's like lost, he knows it was different rules back then, obviously. Yes. But he should have his team prepared for a Super Bowl overtime. If any coach would, it'd be him because he lost to it. It was the other. It was the old rules where the Pats went down right away and scored and no chance to answer. But still, like
they're lucky that there was even a overtime because Creed Humphrey, all pro center, absolutely, but he had some low snaps that game. He had quite a few low snaps that game.
He had a couple throughout the playoffs. Like every time you'd watch the game, like he's a good top 5 center in the league, and his snaps throughout the playoffs were Mahomes going down to his ankles trying to grab up the ball, making sure it was like.
Well, on that last play with Rashee Rice, we saw Rashee Rice was wide open, and that snap, like Rashee was obviously upset after the play, and you saw Mahomes go in the replay after. He went up to Rashee, and he's just like, MFer, I had to basically pick the ball up off the floor. Like we my point is that if there was more time on the clock, there probably wouldn't even have been an overtime, right? Like it was they had all momentum. You know what I mean? And then and we were watching the game, and when they settled for a field goal, because the drive in OT for the Niners was looking promising after Trent McDuffie's hold on 3rd down, it was looking promising. It really was. And then for them to end off with a field goal, I remember I told you guys, I said, that's a disappointing drive because the drive looked good. It looked like they were going to get into the end zone. And credit to the Chiefs defense. Once upon a time, that would have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
But their defense has been stout all season long.
Like, I want to say it's a disappointing drive because of the whole buildup of it, but I also feel like it's how do I explain it? It's not like a big disappointment to get points in OT, right? Like it's not a bad trade-off to get the field goal. But then like again, it was that fourth and 1 in OT that basically cemented that they're getting the touchdown.
Yeah,
when they converted that, right?
that's true. That's a good point. Did you guys have any issue with Mahomes winning Super Bowl MVP?
Nah, like I don't think any one player like deserved it more. Like the defense as a whole played great, but it wasn't like one defender in specific that like showed out.
Like so it wasn't like
played
a
great, Snead played great, like and Chris Jones, like they all played great in their own individual ways, but like no no one had 2 picks in the game. Like no one had a pick to seal the game, or like Chris Jones having 3-4 sacks in the game to like show like he shined over everyone else. It was like Mahomes led the comeback and he deserved to win MVP.
Yeah, honestly, I think this is his most convincing Super Bowl victory. Sorry, well, his
MVP?
most convincing Super Bowl MVP.
Is that because of his performance, or is that because the spread out performance of the rest of the team? I'm not saying the rest of the team was bad. It was just very spread out. Like, you know what I mean? Mahomes averaged the most rushing yards. You know what I mean? No one hit over 100 yards reception. So is it because of that, or is it because Mahomes was just that much better?
I think a bit of both, right? Travis Kelce probably on the offensive side, he probably had the best case, 9 receptions for 93 yards, but no touchdowns though, right?
Yeah.
That's the only thing I guess.
Oh, if he had caught a touchdown reception, I think he would have won. Yeah,
it's possible.
MVP because he had a lot of clutch catches in the game.
Yeah, second half. I mean, that it was that 10-yard where he was getting dragged. He was just dragging at least 2-3 defenders.
Yeah,
like
but let me go.
Plays. Like, yeah,
let me go back to Mahomes' first Super Bowl win against the Niners. I'll tell you his stats. He had 286, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 63 QBR, 78 rating. Okay. Last year's against the Eagles, he actually had his best QBR. He had a 96.3, but he had a 182 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. The yards just, I mean, he played great. We all watched that game. He did not make mistakes at all. He only had 6 incompletions. No. But 182 yards is still not a super convincing performance. Now, this year, 333 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, a 75.8 QBR, a 99 rating, I believe, out of 158.
And he had the rushing yards this year.
And he had 66 rushing yards. He led the team in rushing yards. So I think it was his most convincing Super Bowl, because a lot of people felt like the first one, Damian Williams should have won it.
Yeah, I thought it should have went to Damian Williams. Yeah, he had 2 rushing TDs that game, over 100 rushing yards. So it's like it felt like
he got the game sealing touchdown.
Yeah.
Last season, you could make an argument for Kadarius Toney just because of the spark plug that he was, right? But I thought it was a convincing performance. I mean, he's been the way he feels out the game now, right? There was a play in the game where he wanted to launch the ball deep, and he ended up taking the check down to his left to Pacheco, with pressure coming, obviously. And Tony Romo said, if he threw that ball, there's a good chance it would have been an interception. And once upon a time, when he was younger, he would have thrown that ball.
Well, when we were watching the game, we all said it. If Tyreek Hill was on the team, he was throwing that ball on that pass. We said, like, because it would have been
Tyreek if he never lost Tyreek Hill, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. He would have. I think he would have still thrown that ball, because I feel like he would have been open. But who knows in that situation? But yeah, he's become, since the Hill trade, less of a gunslinger. Like, he's been more of a calculated passer.
Yeah,
kind of like
because he has to.
Yeah, he's been more like Brady in the late stages of a career, where it's like it's more calculated instead of like putting the ball in harm's way and like risking your team the victory.
Yeah, and on the Niners side of things, how do you guys feel about the team going forward? How do you feel about Brock Purdy going forward into next season? Any questions, any answers from their performance?
Like, there's mistake. There was nothing bad about them. There was just mistakes made, right?
Yeah.
I have like, is Purdy the superstar QB? No, but is he a QB that could that is solid to have in that position and then could get you a Super Bowl with that team around him? Absolutely, right? So it's not like the team's not capable. It's just big games comes and there's mistakes made. And like, yes, Purdy made some questionable decisions or just odd plays. There's a lot of spikes, I guess. Like there's a lot of like they seem like spikes basically because it was hard press and everything. But it's like their stars other than McCaffrey just weren't there.
Yeah.
I mean, they're there. It's a completely different ball game. You know what I mean? And it's not doesn't like it's just one of either Debo or Ayuk. Like you know what I mean? Just an extra 50 yards. Like I feel like it just changes everything.
Well, then shout out to L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie, man. Like,
yeah,
they are two fantastic corners and two corners that I think the Chiefs should. Well, McDuffie's on a rookie deal, but L'Jarius Sneed try to re-sign him, try to get him back in the red and white.
Can you get him back and can you get Chris Jones back at the same time?
I would try to, definitely. I'll definitely try to. Because they're pivotal pieces, man. They're pivotal pieces going forward. Chris Jones is a top two. I mean, Aaron Donald's.
He's the best D tackle right now, is Chris Jones.
Yeah. I don't think that's crazy. And it's not, it's no slight against Aaron Donald. No. Aaron Donald's just a little bit up there in age now. You know, he's I'm not saying he's past his prime, but he's
what,
still
32? Like,
he's still
only
a beast,
natural,
of course. But no, I think the Niners will be fine, man. Like, you just went up against Mahomes. That's really all it is. Like, I don't think it has anything to do with them not being able to win the big game. Like, I understand that's, you know, they haven't had the better rosters the two times that they played the Chiefs, no doubt. But I mean, quarterback, man, you know what I mean? Like, the quarterback goes such a long way. Like, there was once upon a time where you could have the inferior quarterback and the better roster would win. But I feel like we've kind of transitioned now to, if you don't have the quarterback, because of how the game's evolved, if you don't have the quarterback, good luck.
Again, but like, there's only one Mahomes. It's like, everyone, like, there's like a gap between him and the next closest guy. So it's like, already there, Kansas City will always have an advantage if they make the Super Bowl again. Yes, you have the guy.
But look at it. When's the last time, like, a Met quarterback won, but like he didn't play well in the game?
Okay.
Right? Like, you can go to Nick Foles, but Nick Foles played great in the playoffs. Yeah. You can go to Eli Manning, but Eli Manning played great in the playoffs. When's the last time a Met? Like, you probably have to go back to the 2000 Ravens.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's probably when you would have to, that's probably how far you would have to go back off the top of my head. Oh, sorry. The 2002 Buccaneers, excuse me.
Yeah.
2002 Bucks.
Yeah. Again, that's just, it was defensive-led team,
and Brady wasn't, we all know Brady was a game manager, but he made, for what he needed to do, and the team was good, right? The team was good.
It's the same thing with, like, the Seahawks when they won. Like, it was a young Russell Wilson. It wasn't, like, the same one we know, like, today. It was a team that leaned on Marshawn Lynch and the defense, right?
I'm sorry. Peyton Manning, 2015. He was awful.
Yeah.
He was awful.
Yeah, that's true.
I totally forgot about that. But what did you have? A historic defense.
Yeah.
You had an historic defense. And, you know, the Panthers just 15-1, great season, and that they ran into that defense. I will remind people, though, that the Steelers almost beat the Broncos that year in the playoffs, but if I recall correctly, Antonio Brown didn't play, and we lost. It was a very close game. Antonio Brown didn't play because the Vontaze Burfict hit. He had the concussion, so he didn't play that game. If AB plays,
we'll never know.
I guess we'll never know.
That might have started the spiral of AB. Who knows?
Who knows? Two more questions I have for you guys about Super Bowl. Number one, and now I'm losing my train of thought, which is unfortunate. Oh, can the Chiefs three-peat? And with this win now, we all had Mahomes top 5, if I recall correctly, all time. But where is he now? Has anything changed for you guys? It hasn't changed for me because I thought he was the best, not the greatest, the best quarterback of all time going into the game. But has anything changed for you guys? And once again, the 3-peat question: do you think they can 3-peat?
I think they need to add, like, it's definitely possible for them to win a 3rd championship in a row. They desperately need a wide receiver. I don't like.
Do they though? Because Rashee Rice seems like a number
someone
one
they could rely on. Like,
but
doesn't have to be.
Rashee Rice could be a number one though.
Yeah, that's for sure. But like, Kelsey's a year older. Who knows if he's gonna do the same thing as this year? Like, he's gonna put his body first over the regular season to make sure he's healthy for the playoffs.
Yeah.
You hope Rice takes a step forward, but you would.
I think he already has most receptions by a rookie in playoff history. 26.
Fair,
but like exact.
We've seen like rookie wide receivers like not plateau, but like they have promise and don't live up to the.
Yeah.
I don't know his work ethic. Like, I don't know anything like that, so you never know. Probably will still go like an increase, but like, I still like at least a number 2 wide receiver, like another, like, doesn't have to be like I would say they kind of like need like a deep threat that's like someone to take the top off the defense. They don't really.
They might get that in the draft.
Yeah, that's like something to add like that way. But like right now, your only deep threat is MVS, and even at that, you hardly risk that with him because you don't know if he's going to come down with the ball. Like he made the clutch catch against the Ravens, but like besides that, like he has his issues here and there. So the one thing I'd see them to add is just like a number 2 wide receiver, like that's just like mainly a deep threat.
Would you, quick before Paul goes, and Paul, you can answer this as well, would you bring back Kadarius Toney?
No, there's no point. I feel like you saw the second half of the season and throughout the playoffs, he wasn't needed. He's talented and has promise, but like, has he shown it besides the Super Bowl last year?
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much the only thing we've seen him do.
Okay, that's fair. Paul, how do you feel about this? Well, sorry, Paul, before you go,
I'll answer all the questions after.
Yeah, Barry, do you feel that where does Mahomes, like, has the ranking from Mahomes changed for you in any way?
He's definitely top 3, I'd say.
Okay.
Right. Sure. I would say reluctantly, I'd say Brady's 1. And right now I'd still have Montana ahead of Mahomes, but that could switch. Like,
okay,
he's 28, right?
I wouldn't have him over. I would have him over Montana just because Montana never played a Super Bowl where he didn't have the better team. Number 1.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
Obviously different era, and I know. Listen, I would rather have Mahomes over Brady on my team. Brady in all, not all, but a lot of the Super Bowls out of the 10 that he's been in, he did have the better team.
Yeah.
And I know people are going to say, "Oh, Brady beat Mahomes when it mattered most." Okay, but you see, the problem with that logic is that with that logic, then Eli Manning and Nick Foles are also better than Tom Brady. With that logic, just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
But Paul, to you, what's your take on this?
Okay, so the 2 questions I'll answer, and also a couple other topics that came up when you guys were talking. Does my ranking of Mahomes change? Look, so do I still put Brady as number 1, and that is not just based on the type of QB he is, but all the accolades that come with it.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I put Mahomes right behind him. Can they 3-peat? Yes. There's a lot of variables to take in consideration. But let's say bar the variables, let's say you're going in with this team. With a year older than they are now, I still think they could 3-peat. With that championship win, then I believe I would put Mahomes ahead of him. I already believe Mahomes is a more skillful and better quarterback. I'm just saying he needs the extra accolades to go with it.
If he 3-peats, I think he's the greatest of all time.
Exactly.
Just because it's never been done in the Super Bowl era.
Exactly. That's where I put him. I will give him the jump in first. To go back on do they need a wide receiver? So I also believe they need a wide receiver, and I agree with Barry basically with they need a deep threat. I also don't think they need a number one because I think Rice can hit that potential. Right, it's a gamble, and I feel like a lot of sports is like you're paying on potential right now, and that's just the name of the game for a lot of the sports. Thing is, if you bring in number one, I'm also a firm believer that it's gonna stunt his growth, right? And a lot of people say it shouldn't because, like, you know what I mean? You shouldn't let another person.
You're getting less
But
like double coverage type of stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So I think they need to bring in a deep threat that's a number two, and they just let Rice fall into that number one spot. Look, you are taking the gamble on potential, but I mean.
But you see, the thing is that Travis Kelce's still going to get double.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, even next year, you know, he probably, we'll see how he looks. I don't expect him to fall off of a cliff.
No,
but Travis Kelce's still going to command a double team. So that I think until Travis Kelce is a shell of himself or retired, I think Rashee Rice will.
But you also want to get on that a year early instead of a year late, right? Because you want to maximize this window that you have with Mahomes, and you don't want to think about getting him a new weapon when Travis leaves. That's the only problem.
Well, that's why I've said I think
so many avenues.
I could see the Chiefs somehow getting Kyle Pitts. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. I believe they should. I obviously you need to see how things work with Falcons this year, but I feel like that's someone that they should target. You know, in preparation for Travis Kelce's retirement. All right. So moving on off of the Super Bowl, NFL, we will not see you next year because I mean I'm sure there's going to be news. We got the draft, of course. We're maybe forgetting that. So we'll be back to NFL as the news warrants it. But we got to go to some Champions League football. Paul's Manchester City, who have alleged breaches. We'll see what happens. I feel like I need to preface my comments about Man City by letting that be known every time.
Y'all better get no alleged breaches. I swear to God.
Hey, Newcastle owners are trying to buy us too. I'll take it. I'll take the money now.
You guys won 3-1. I mean, I'm surprised it was even 1-1. To be honest with you,
honestly, Everton just wanted to lose.
Honestly,
that was all Ederson too. That he just gave the ball straight to the other team, and he's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah,
here we go.
But you see, this game and also your last game before that against Everton, you haven't looked great.
First half were never good.
Yeah,
first half were never good, and second half it's like we were saying with Casey, a switch flips. And I mean, you also got De Bruyne. Like, you put De Bruyne on the field. Like, look at the Everton. You put De Bruyne on the field. Something happens. De Bruyne's on now, goal and assist. Like, you know what I mean?
That's what I feel like the last two games have been, though. It's like everyone's coming back from injuries now. De Bruyne's back. Haaland's back. Like, it's going to take a couple of games before everything's like
great time to everyone come back.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, there's not much to say about this game. It's expected.
It would have been more to talk about if they would have lost than any, like, because who would have thought?
I don't think
Copenhagen.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Man City hasn't had a tough round of 16 in God knows how long, right? So they continuously, whether it's RB Leipzig, all due respect, they're not on City's level. You guys, the real conversation and the real Champions League for you guys starts in quarterfinals and, of course, semis, depending on who you get in the quarters.
Even at that, I don't know. This year,
we don't really need to talk about De Bruyne, Haaland, Foden. Phil Foden, okay, quickly. Phil Foden, I think he's a stud.
Absolutely. I said this from
he's finally taking that next step this season.
Yes. Well, he's also finally getting the playing time to be able to take the next step, right? Because Jack Grealish was dominating the field in terms of minutes over Phil Foden last season. And rightfully so.
He had a great season last year.
They moved into a different slot, though. Like, Foden's taken the De Bruyne role. Not to that level, and I don't think it ever will be to that level. And they're also very different players. I find Phil Foden is like he's not the masterclass in the playmaking. I'm not saying he can't do it, and I'm not saying he's not great at it. He's just not the De Bruyne level. So
well,
it's a very.
I mean, you're also talking about all-time great level.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But he is the next to fill that role, and I think like it sucks when you find that potential. I mean, the potential is always there, but it sucks that when you hit your stride based on someone's injury, and I think now is you can't put either of them on the bench, right? So you need to figure away a pattern to have both of them in that lineup.
But then it's also like you got to make sure Julian Alvarez is also in the lineup because that guy is another beast. And like he's been dropping down to more of a center forward role this year instead of playing a striker, and he's been killing it. So it's like, you're gonna have three guys creating behind Haaland. Like, how's the formation going to change now?
That's true.
You could bring back the old two strikers, but no one uses that anymore, and I think it's.
You can put it into a more modern sense where you don't have to use it as two strikers. Like your target man will be Haaland, and you can play a guy right behind it, as in Alvarez, and then a little bit deeper down you can have De Bruyne and Foden. The only thing is you're gonna suffer defensively. That's the only problem with that.
You will suffer defensively, but I don't see why it couldn't work, because teams nowadays are not equipped to handle two strikers.
No.
Right? This isn't the mid 2000s in the Premier League, in leagues in general. You know, the Milans had Inzaghi and Hernan Crespo or Shevchenko. Like, they had options, right? These teams nowadays, the quality of center backs is not what it used to be. Mm-hmm. If you put Haaland and Alvarez on the field with De Bruyne and Foden and Doku or Grealish, whoever, what?
And then you also have Bernardo Silva there too. Like,
but that's the thing. Like, the beauty of City football is there's a lot of positionless players.
Yeah.
That can roam, right? Like,
that's the Pep formation, right?
Yeah, exactly. You have like the Grealishes, the Doku that just sit on the wing and drag you out, try to bring you in, box you into the box, right? They come in from the wing and try to close and close and close. But then you have like the Alvarez, the Silva, the De Bruyne, who just roam, and they're wherever you need them to be, right?
Yeah.
So that matched with like you need depth, and a lot of City's success is the ability to have multiple lineups.
Yeah.
Right. One game it's De Bruyne and Alvarez around you. The next game it's Silva and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not all of us have that type of money to pull out two lineups that are first tier level.
Dig deep in your pockets and look for it. So I don't know.
I got lint in my pockets. There's nothing to buy lineups with.
Quickly, because I don't want to spend too much time on Man City, but Foden or Saka? Because I've been seeing a lot of that discourse online. First of all, do you think either of them are world class? Number one, and number two, who would you take? I don't think either of them are world class.
They both need to find that level of consistency.
Yeah,
like with Saka, that's the biggest thing about him is like just when he's on, he's on. When he's not, he's
not
nowhere to be seen. Right?
Yeah.
So like I feel like that's a big problem for him, and he starts week in and week out. Foden's biggest problem is the team. Is like when he gets his minutes, right? That's when he's going to play. Obviously, he has his games where he's not scoring hat tricks or scoring goals in the Champions League, but like he just needs minutes to show that what he can do.
That's fair.
Once the minutes come, he's world class. Saka is not world class until the consistency comes. It's basically what the same as summarize it.
But I feel like Saka could be more physically
imposing.
Physically imposing over Foden. Foden's 5'8", I would say. How tall is like he's a smaller man playing like he's more of a shifty style like attacker, and then and then
whatever he's playing down the middle,
attacking winger. Like he's played on the left before. He's played down the middle. Like, and Saka's more of a right wing, right mid type guy, and he can beat you with his speed. He has good technical abilities. It's just it's just the consistency with him.
That's fair. PSG, Real Sociedad. Obviously, PSG is going to win that. Even though I don't think this PSG team is particularly that good.
No.
I don't think they'll go far. I'd be shocked if they made the semis, obviously depending on who they get in the quarters. But no, they just, I mean, Mbappe scores, Barcola scores.
Yeah,
I don't
Like
have much to say other
Sociedad's
than
no team to like take lightly.
no, definitely not.
Like they are a solid squad. Like yes, like in comparison to the Madrids, the cities, like yeah, I mean there's a slight gap, right? But I also wouldn't be shocked if they won. Like PSG is a shell of what PSG used to be, and what the PSG what used to be also wasn't.
Yeah.
Like on paper they were grand, but they have no accolades, right?
To show for it besides
I
the
also,
league on title.
yeah, and I also feel like this team is just like a bunch of guys. Like they had to replace Ramos, Messi, Neymar, and all that, and they just went to go buy a bunch of guys and they just threw them into a lineup. That's what the team kind of feels like right now. It's just like throwing in pieces there, and it's not like a team that's structured, like not built structurally to play one sort of style. And it just.
But they've always slapped dudes in for so long. And maybe it had a bit more structure, but they've always just slapped names together and see what sticks.
Yeah.
But listen, I think they'll beat Real Sociedad. Whether or not they advance any further, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Listen, if Mbappe can get this team to the final or even win it, wow,
that's
like
a big
Ballon d'Or. I'm
yeah.
sorry, I know Jude's going crazy, but if Mbappe can win the Champions League final with this team, I think he would have to win the Ballon d'Or over Jude. Obviously, depending on what happens with the Euros this year.
That's going to be
yeah, definitely. We got to transition, of course, to Barry's favorite team, Lazio.
That was something. That's the game I watched that day.
It's not his favorite team, by the way. He's a Roma fan, just for clarification purposes.
They held Bayern without a shot on target all game.
Insane.
That's the mess that Bayern are in right now. Losing 3-0 to Leverkusen on the weekend, and then getting bodied by Lazio. Like they scored off a penalty, which is like a 1-0 loss, but like
after the red card by Upamecano.
Yeah, and that was a dumb tackle by him too. Stepped right on the guy's ankle. But like there needs to be changes in that coaching. Like, yeah. I know you're gonna say the coaching, like the firing last year shouldn't have happened.
Yes.
Yeah. I knew you were gonna say that. It's
Well, I think we all agreed when it happened. We all spoke about it. Like Bayern looked good against Man City in the first game.
They were first place in the league. Like it was just a sudden firing. It just didn't make sense.
Yes, Nagelsmann. I don't know why they fired him, but they were playing very well under him. And I don't know why they decided to go get Tuchel. Not that he's not a good coach; he's definitely a good manager, absolutely. But you already had something going with Nagelsmann, and like I said, they looked good in that first game against Man City. And you come back and you get demolished. Like, to me, they were the team that was best equipped to deal with Man City because your center backs are studs, right? And De Ligt is not even touching the field.
Nah.
And first of all, I'm shocked. Because I forgot that dude's only 24. He's 24.
Yeah, they brought in
24. That's crazy.
They brought in Kim, and it fully sat him on the bench. And like,
De Ligt needs to come back to Italy.
But I also don't find Upamecano that great. Every time I see either like France play or like Bayern play in like a crucial game, I see him make a mistake. Like I don't know if it's just
rash mistake.
Yeah, I don't know if that's maybe in the league and on an everyday basis, he plays well. But in these big games, I don't know. I always see him make some sort of silly mistake.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I'm not super shocked.
That Lazio beat Bayern?
Yes.
Absolutely shocked.
So I'll say this.
Mid-table.
Their Bayern's not having the best season, and them being second, like, you know what I mean? Whatever. They're not having the best season. B, they bar 2019, 2020 when they won the Champions League, they have not won a first leg game since I think they beat Dortmund in 2012, 2013.
No, that can't be true.
I'm looking at it. I'm pretty sure they 1-0 against Lazio. Man City, they lost 3-0. Villarreal.
Not in the first leg.
Yeah.
They won the first leg against Man City.
No, they tied second leg.
I apologize. So Nagelsmann got fired before Bayern.
Yeah.
But up until before Man City. But up until the Man City point, they looked good.
Yeah. Look, unless I can read, they haven't won, bar the 2019-2020, which I'm not going to look at them because, look, they won, win or lose the first leg, who cares? They won it. Since they won against Dortmund in 2012, 2013. They have, historically speaking, for a decade, they have not been good in the first leg. They also they also made it only to the 2 times they made in the final. The last 10 years were the 2 they won. They're also coming off a bad season. It was the typical architect, like, but if they didn't get the penalty, it ended 0-0. It was a typical Italian soccer game.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was at the Olimpico, which is a difficult place to play. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Historically speaking, going into Italy has always been hard games, and they held true to that. So going before the game, did I expect them to win? Yes. But am I shocked? No, because historically speaking, and Bayern have not been Bayern for a few years now. They're not that force you feel the last 4 years they got knocked out in the quarterfinals.
4 years ago?
Sorry, 3 years. Yeah. I'm counting this year as one as well, even though they're not knocked out. But last 3 years they've been knocked out. Bayern doesn't feel like that threat anymore, and I feel like they're falling into the same realm as PSG, where they're consistently winning the league, but they're just not. I think they're 20 times better than PSG. They're just not that European giant they used to be.
Do you think that maybe, and I know that they're very likely to get a 5th team in Champions League this year, but do you feel like maybe besides this season, the lack of competition within the league kind of, iron sharpens iron, right? When you're going up against top class week in and week out, seemingly, you're more built for big moments. Whereas before this season with Bayer Leverkusen, they just dominate. It's not. It's like it's. Well, I know Dortmund had an opportunity.
Last year they went down to the final game.
It did, but they also got smoked by Man City, right?
Yeah.
Like they. And it was the same. It was the same for the Juve teams. Like they won 10 in a row, and they were great though. Don't get it twisted.
They made the 2 finals in that.
They made it to
right?
the 2. They made it to the 2 finals, absolutely. And so as Man City made it to 2 finals in their long stretch of winning the Bundesliga. Yeah. But you look at the Prem, right? Even though Man City dominates, you got to go up against Man United. You got to go up against Chelsea when they were better. Liverpool, and even now in Serie A, it's a little bit more difficult. Inter, you got to go up against Roma. You guys gave them a good game over the weekend. Napoli, Atalanta, AC, Juve, There's so many. I don't want to sound messed up.
It's better when the teams in the league are all closer in competition than when it's just one juggernaut over everyone.
I think it's finally coming to that though, and I don't think Bayern has gotten worse. They have brought in stud Kane is killing.
Yeah, Kane's killing the league this year. He's 5 or 6 goals above the next closest guy or something like that.
Yeah. I just think the league is finally catching up.
Even when you look at La Liga, you got Barca, you got Real Madrid. Obviously, they run it for the most part, but you still have your Atleticos, you still have your Sevillas. You know what I mean? Girona this year, you still have quality teams. I feel like Ligue 1 and the Bundesliga, and maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like they have the least legitimate teams. And it's Bayern, it's PSG, and no one else. You don't believe anyone else has an opportunity to win the Champions League, or to really do something. No one expects Dortmund to.
At least not anymore. Ever since Klopp left, it's not been the same Dortmund.
Exactly, right? And I'm not expecting Lazio either. I think in Italy, Inter's a really good chance. I would be shocked if Lazio or Napoli can beat Bayern or Barcelona in their respective games. This version of Napoli, at least. So I don't know. I feel like when you have a tough, and maybe this will be a good year for Bayern in that sense, in sense of humbling. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it's not going to be that easy, and maybe it won't be that easy going forward. So going back to the whole iron sharpens iron concept.
Look, they haven't gotten worse. They might be having an off season, but in terms of like numbers from their players, they're not. I think the league is catching up to them. Has the league caught up to the Champions League competition? Not so much, but I think the next 3 years we're gonna see a power shift.
Yeah,
we're actually gonna see like Bayer Leverkusen.
I don't
If
know about
Xabi
that
Alonso
though.
stays, I
That's
think.
I don't think he
Do I think
stays.
they make the? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If he stays, but Bayer Leverkusen with Xabi Alonso staying, do they compete for a title? No, but are they competitive? Yes. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I don't
And
think I think
it's
he's
also
gone
like
in the very near future.
I think he goes to Liverpool, but that's a whole other topic. Um,
Mhm.
you know what I mean, like, but then we also have like, look, we'll get into the
There's
Madrid
also rumors he
Leipzig
might go to
game,
Barca.
right?
So
It was only 1-0. Like, you know what I mean? I think the a lot of the Bundesliga teams are not at the level of winning the competition, but are at the level to compete and steal games, similar to like how Real Sociedad did it, had Villarreal did, right? They made it to like semifinals. Like they Lyon did it. Like, you know what I mean? They're that level that can compete and take games. Are they ever going to be? They're always going to be the underdog, but it's not going to be baffling if they steal
Yeah.
last 16 round a quarter round, right?
I guess my point is that like for when you look at the other teams besides Bayern and I guess Dortmund in some years,
Yeah.
they don't seem legit, right? When you go to the Prem, you got Chelsea, Liverpool, Man U, Man City. Like those, you look at those teams when they're at their best, and you're like, oh, damn, these teams can maybe win something. You look at Serie A, Juve, Milan, Inter. I would probably stop there, with all due respect, just because you know the Roma
those are
is
historically.
yeah, those are they historically do pretty well in the Arsenal. Also, I forgot Arsenal. Sorry, Real Madrid, Atletico, Barca, and in the German league, it's Bundesliga. It's Dortmund and Bayern, right? Like when's the last time a third team from Germany made it to the Champions League final?
Yeah, it's gonna go a long time ago.
Exactly.
You're gonna go probably 40s or 50s, like consistently. I'd say you probably have to go.
So if you were saying German teams that foul bar Bayern and Dortmund, right? Because they were both in the finals 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
And they played each other in 2012, 2013. Yeah.
Bayer Leverkusen they lost to Madrid, but they were in the finals in 01, 02.
Oh,
yeah, okay. They did lose to Madrid. That's true. I believe Michael Ballack was on that team. I believe.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they lost the Bundesliga that year as well on the final day. Shout out to Michael Ballack. I wish he won something. I really do. He was a great player. He was a great player.
But I think the competition is, especially with the new format, is going to have a not drastic, but we'll have a slight change we'll have new faces. I think coming in the next couple of years.
Yeah. Going to Real Madrid. Real Madrid beat RB Leipzig. Shout out to Xavi Simons. 1-0 on Tuesday. Stanks also shout out to Brahim Diaz, who scored the winning goal.
Could have a couple more.
Former Milanista. Okay. And
on loan.
Anyways, he also gave Milan a shout out after the game.
Also, former Man City player, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We sold him to you guys, I'm pretty sure.
We sold him to Madrid, and then he got loaned out to Milan. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was huge. He was huge. Listen, Leipzig. I'm not surprised by the scoreline because Leipzig's a good team. You know what I mean? Like they're I think they're dynamic offensively. I think Xavi Simons is really coming to his own.
The last couple of years.
And I was a little bit worried, because I didn't want him to be another wonder boy that didn't pan out. Like we all, Barufa knows my guy Hakeem Mastour.
Trying to think of who we were going with.
Whoever he is, I wish him the best. I love that dude. But I thought he was gonna be special, and it didn't turn out that way, and it's unfortunate. And I was a little bit concerned for that with Xavi Simons also, and he didn't have the greatest game, but I'm glad to see that, you know, he had a great season at PSV last year, and he's following it up this season with Leipzig, and hopefully he can maybe not this year, but the year after can make a move to a bigger club, an even bigger club.
Wait, is he still owned by PSG and loaned out to Leipzig? I thought they had rebought him back from PSV and shipped him out, or I could be completely wrong there.
I don't remember the details.
Yeah.
He might still be with PSG in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
But I don't quote me on that.
Yeah. But
so I mean, listen, Real Madrid's built for this competition. We know we know what to expect from them at this point.
I'm pretty sure he's on loan, but well,
okay. So I thought I remember seeing that PSG had like activated the buyback clause and shipped them straight off on loan.
Getting back on topic for the game, it's not over. It's far from over.
It's only a 1-0 win, right?
And it was a 50-50 game, right? Possession, well, I'm pretty sure it was very close to 50-50 shots, or very close. I think they're both near 14-15 each. On target's a different story. Madrid is missing their number 9, and it shows.
Yeah, they're just missing a striker.
Yeah,
and that's the thing that team needs. I know, like, Bellingham's had a great season, and he's been playing more of an attacking role this season because they don't really have a striker. So he's been playing as like that center forward attacking mid that contributes goals. But I think for them to win a Champions League, they need that number 9.
So look, their defense is also injured right now, right? You had Nacho and Tchouaméni, I believe, playing center back, and
Tchouaméni was all world. I mean, him and Camavinga, the versatility is frightening.
But to say the bench, Lunin was in goal, and he was the best player of the game.
10 saves or 9 or 10 saves,
whatever he had. He was brought, like, this season. He started off as the third string.
Yeah,
Courtois was the starter. Then he got hurt. They brought in Kepa, who started to begin with, and now Lunin's been playing. At least yesterday was on fire. So it's
Madrid, just players become big in Madrid, I find, right? So, and that goes to show, look, with Brahim Diaz, that was a beautiful goal. Lunin playing an amazing game. The issue is, I feel, and I heard this before, I forget who said it. It was a commentator. I believe it was when City played them, and City, the year City went.
Demolished them.
Yeah, they're playing surviving soccer, and that can only get you so far. Look, we're right now with no number 9, with injuries. Like, you know what I mean? You're relying heavily. Yeah, but you're relying heavily on big games from your players, and it's like, yes, you should expect the most, but it's like, you know what I mean? They're no longer overpowering that many, right? And I feel like they're playing like surviving. They get one and they're trying to survive the lead, like, and they have world-class talent on it. It's just they're missing crucial pieces, and the scary part is the crucial pieces come. They are an absolute force, which they already are. Like,
they already are best defenders, right? You're missing Rudiger, you're missing
Alaba.
Like, that's 3 world-class center backs just not there right now, and they're still managing to win. They're first in La Liga. They demolished Girona. Like,
a number 9 comes in. It's very scary.
Well, speaking of them getting reinforcements, it seems like the Mbappe saga is
officially coming to an end.
Yeah, and it seems like he's gonna join Real Madrid in the summertime, which I think is long overdue. I think that was a move that he needed. I thought he
done that 3 years ago.
Yeah, maybe not 3, but at least
when it first. It was first. Yeah. Well, they tried to win it with like the last ditch effort with Neymar, Messi, and Ramos, right? They tried to keep him because he's French. They tried to keep him in Paris to big French name, keep him there, and it just didn't work.
Yeah,
it's that's something with that league that you're never gonna get the notoriety until you move to one of the major European leagues.
Yeah.
But we can all argue what team's bigger, but Real Madrid's top 2 biggest teams in the world just by namesake.
Yeah. Ligue 1 is not what they used to be when Marseille, Lyon were like top talents, and top talent was coming from those teams to go to other teams, right? So,
but it's also they have no pedigree in Champions League. They have none. The only French team to win the Champions League was Marseille. They beat Milan. We don't need to talk about it.
But
But
you know what I mean?
They beat Milan in the first edition of Champions League. Whatever. Whereas, you know, Ajax have multiple Champions League titles, right? Like they're the only European league, well, major European league with one title, right? Even Porto and Benfica have multiple championships.
Yeah.
So they have no pedigree in Champions League, which is why I think a lot of people downplay it.
And he also might not be the only reinforcements coming. There's the report that came out, I think, this afternoon that Davies might be heading there too. And you add in someone like Alphonso Davies in that team. That left side of the field is just ridiculous, because then you have Vinny on the left running down the wing, and you got Alphonso Davies behind him. Who's going to beat that team with speed? Like, you're not getting by. I don't know. It's just.
But so I saw some of the potential lineups, and obviously Mbappe down the middle, Rodrigo on the right, Vinny on the left. Jude, this is my issue. Where are you putting Camavinga? Because Camavinga, to me, he's not a guy that should be coming off the bench at all.
CDM.
No, he's just so versatile. He needs to be.
But you have Tchouaméni, Valverde, and Jude.
You might have to sell one. That's the thing.
You play well.
Unless you put Tchouaméni as center back.
But you don't want to.
You don't want to do that.
No, he's not the best there. Like, his best position's in the midfield.
And Arda Güler,
he's already on the bench.
Boy. There's reports that he could go out on loan to Milan.
He has to.
Tchouaméni. I mean, listen, if Milan want to go buy Camavinga, we can use him too.
Can't afford him.
Look. Look,
if we had used that Tonali money, we probably could have.
Yeah, okay. But look, Mbappe solves solutions of problems you didn't even realize you had. It's just it's still odd. Like, you know what I mean? It's Mbappe. You could put him anywhere on the field and it works. It's just I feel like they need a true number 9, and Mbappe I think is the best on the left. The issue is you don't take Vinny off. So it's like, do you put Rodrigo on the bench and put Mbappe or Vinny on the right? Probably not. So the best right now is put Mbappe in the middle. I just personally believe they need a number 9, and a number 9 suits Madrid. Historically, their number 9s have been number 9. Like, you know what I mean? That architect.
Yeah.
Even like Vlahovic. Vlahovic would be ideal for them.
Exactly.
And he's been killing it since the start of the year.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has 6 goals in 5 games or something like that.
The mix, you put Jude, Cam, you put Valverde. Like, you play a 4-3-3, right? And you're putting Jude at the top, Valverde, and
Tchouaméni or Camavinga.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, you don't want them to sit the bench, but then look, I always drag it back to City, but like, you know what I mean? They have Foden dragging the bench. It's depth. It's a rotation.
It's also about what
these players don't need to play 60 games a year, so because you have that depth, right? Yeah. You're playing 35 games, and you're like, you know what I mean? That allows the versatility and allows the times, like the whole lifespan of a season, right? Instead of constantly in and out, and it's not like Kroos left or Modric left yet. Yes, they're older.
Well, Modric is leaving at the end of the season.
Yeah, but you know what I mean?
Kroos might be there.
Shout out to Modric for being one of the best midfielders of all time.
That's what I'm saying. Utilize the older players to keep their legs healthy and having a flow of different lineups. And that's why these players have been to Champions League finals, have been to Copa del Rey finals, have been to like final game, they win on the final game, right? You keep their legs healthy for that. So it's like, don't sell because you can't start them. It's just you also need to manage it properly, and this is more of a manager's problem now.
But you see, the problem is that you're not going to have Ancelotti forever, and he's the best manager ever, right? So who are you? The next person you bring in better be a great manager, because if not, that's when you're going to start to have unhappy guys, because you have so much talent and world-class players around the field and on the bench.
I also just don't feel like Carvajal's a good servant to them right now. definitely.
I'm saying if
Probably
you
what,
want, if
mid-30s.
yeah, like look, if you really want, like they could get anyone they want, so it's like why not choose anyone they want for right back? So that's why I'm saying like, oh, they could be greedy, but I'm not saying Carvalho's bad. A lot of teams would love to have him. I'm just being greedy and saying like, oh, if they got a right back, they'd be like every position is now covered, right?
But they also want to bring back Mendy, so that way
Hardy was going to walk for Mendy.
That Ancelotti's ideal situation would to have Davies and also have Mendy. So we'll see what. Listen, Madrid is Madrid. Yeah. I'm glad that Mbappe is making this move, or seemingly making this move. I think if he wants to have an opportunity to be considered the greatest of all time, it's a move that he needs. He needs to get some Champions League titles under his belt. He already has a World Cup. He already has the goals. Now it's just Ballon d'Ors and Champions Leagues, because he doesn't need to win the Euro.
I think it'd help.
Obviously, of course it would, but he doesn't need it because he already has the World Cup, and he'll be
contending to another final, right?
Yes, and he'll be contending for World Cups and Euros for the next 10, 15 years, easy. Yeah. So I think now it's just Champions Leagues and Ballon d'Ors. Really, I think that's the only thing that's hurting. I guess not hurting, but limiting how good his legacy can be. But now that he's going to Madrid, the sky's the limit.
Well,
the sky's the limit.
We're all 95% sure he goes to Madrid. There's always the 5%, right?
Yeah, there is. And where do you guys think he would go with that 5%? And I would obviously have to be an English team, just for financial purposes, because as much as I love the Serie A, we don't got no bread to spend, unfortunately.
And the thing is like Mbappe would move on a free, and we still can't afford him.
Yeah. So I mean, he was a Milan fan growing up.
He's also a Madrid fan growing up, so
but I mean, who's not? Madrid's my second team. Who's not a Madrid fan growing up? That's my backup team. I gotta be ready because Milan hasn't. I'm not privileged like the Milan fans that grew up in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s that got to see some of the greatest teams of all time. I'm envious of you guys, by the way. Very envious. I hope I can see that in my lifetime, but we'll see what happens. Listen. I think we all know how significant Mbappe's move will be, and we'll see what happens. Our top 5.
All right.
So Barry came up with our top 5 duos in sports all time.
Any sport.
So for me, I want to preface my list before. I don't have to go first, but I just want to preface it by saying that I'm not going to put any NFL duos in there, just because most of them didn't a lot of them did stuff without the person, right? So Brady and Gronk, Brady did tons before Brady. Gronk's never done anything without Brady. Rice and Montana's won a Super Bowl without Rice, and Rice has won a Super Bowl without Montana. Travis Kelce and Mahomes, they've all done everything together, but Mahomes is gonna eventually. So you get
have someone else.
You get my drift. And I mean, you could say the same thing for basketball though, because I do have Shaq and Kobe on my list, and they both did things without each other. But I mean, the Shaq and Kobe, that's a synonymous duo. You know what I mean? It's just. It's like peanut butter and jelly. You know what I mean? You just know. So I don't have any NFL on my list, but I mean, since I'm talking, I might as well go first. So at 5, you had brought up Gretzky and Messier.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that because I was going to, but they won a cup without Gretzky. Right,
Gretzky won, directly after Messi won another one, and Messi won another cup with the Rangers.
Yeah. So I don't know if I could put them in my list. So let me start from 1. Number 1, I'm putting Shaq and Kobe. For me. Number 2, I'm going Jordan Pippen. The outside of actual Batman and Robin, the original Batman and Robin. Number 3, I'll put Xavi and Iniesta. Those two are synonymous with one another.
Club and country, won everything.
There's club and country. There's no other midfield duo of that caliber, right? I know Zidane played with some great midfielders in his career, but
more modern, like not modern, but like of not like the 2010s was
Modric
and Cruz, right? But they're different countries.
They're not on Xavi or Iniesta's level.
No.
So Xavi and Iniesta, I think, have to be on the list. Then I'm gonna go Kareem and Magic, and they're a good one because Kareem won one title without Magic, then didn't do anything till Magic. In terms of championships, of course, till Magic came into the picture. And then my last one, I'm gonna have to come back to it. You guys can go. I'm gonna have to think about it. Okay, so I thought of my 5. I think I had Shaq, Kobe. I had Jordan, Pippen. I had Xavi, Iniesta. At 4, I'm put Venus and Serena. And I know I was skeptical at first because there's so much more, I guess, onus put on their individual careers. But I mean, 14 Grand Slams as a doubles, as a pair, as sisters.
3 Olympic gold medals.
3 Olympic gold medals. They revolutionized women's tennis, in my opinion. It's like they just were incredible. You know what I mean? What they did for the sport is bar none. So I'll put them at 4, and then I'll put Magic and Kareem at 5. So most of my pairs, outside of Venus and Serena, because it's just a different sport, but most of my pairs have largely done their business as a unit. So that was kind of my like
thought process.
I guess, thought process as to having my duels.
I guess I'll go next. At 5, I had Gretzky and Messier.
Okay.
Just together, I think they played 8 seasons or something like that, winning
3
cups. 4 cups.
3.
No, they won 4 together.
They won. No, they. The 4th one that they won was without Gretzky.
Nah, that's the 5th one.
Messi only got 5 cups though.
He had 6 cups, I'm pretty sure. No.
I'm getting confused.
Yeah, because Gretzky has 4 cups, and
he has 6 cups. Messi.
Yeah, he got 6 cups.
Damn.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's what I'm saying. The first 4 they won together. The year after they traded Gretzky, they won another.
Yeah.
And then obviously Messi won another one with the Rangers.
That for me, I can't get over that. I know they were great, but Gretzky, who's widely considered the greatest player of all time, you trade the greatest player of all time and you still win a cup? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I can't. That's the only thing that's stopping me from
putting them on the list.
From putting them on the list. I just can't.
To go along with the cups, they also played together on Team Canada and won 3 gold cups together. So I was like, you have some international games, you got the Stanley Cups that like goes together. At 4, I got Kareem and Magic, the 5 championships together they won, going to the finals, 8 times in 10 years. It's pretty dominant stretch. For 3, I got Venus and Serena Williams.
Okay.
They both have amazing solo careers, winning multiple Grand Slams. But I think they're also the most dominant doubles partner. I think they have 22 titles, 14 Grand Slam titles, 3 Olympic gold medals.
Yeah.
There's not much better you can get than that. 2, I got Jordan and Pippen, 6 championships. They won a gold medal together. They also won the FIBA gold medal together, the championship that happens at the end before the season starts. And then 1, I got Iniesta and Xavi. 7 La Liga titles.
So you don't have no Shaq and Kobe on your list?
Too short of a time together. Yeah, like everyone here has been like
They played like 7 years together.
Yeah, but they only got 3 championships. Everyone here got
they 3-peated, dude.
Yeah.
And they went to 4 finals.
Yeah, but and
they're like, it's like Shaq and Kobe.
Shaq and Kobe, I know,
who doesn't know that duo?
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's
Iniesta,
crazy.
Xavi, 7 La Liga titles, 4 Champions League titles. They've won Club World Cups, Copa del Rey's, so many of those.
I'm not disputing. I have no problem with that.
2 Euro titles and a World Cup. Like the silverware those two got together,
and their careers. I know Xavi wasn't a part of the 2015 team. I believe that won the
one after 2015, right? They won 2014, 2015. They won.
Yeah, and they haven't won one since.
Yeah.
So that's your GOAT hasn't won Champions League in 10 years, by the way. But
won a World Cup.
Anyways, moving on. Yeah, I don't believe Xavi was a part of that that Neymar, Suarez, and Messi team. But for the most part, their careers overlap. They won 2 trebles to get it's an insane team, insane duo, insane partnership, and there's no midfield. There's no midfield duo of that caliber ever.
That have played that long together, and from them being from the same country, so they played the same national team.
Maybe not the only, but one of the only ones that you can maybe put is Gullit and Rijkaard, but that's just because Gullit goes everywhere though. That's the problem, is that he just
plays every position. Yeah,
I think Gullit's top 5 all time. If you had to go and pick, if you had to make a specimen of a soccer player, he's the best of all time.
I feel like all our top 5s are similar, so I'm trying to sneak someone in that's just different.
We had what? He had Shaq and Kobe. I didn't. I feel like
but they're
so far.
But you're also crazy for not having Shaq.
Yeah, but that's also it would probably have been your 6th or 7th, right? Hopefully, if you're not that insane. Okay, number 1 is in Xavi and Iniesta as well. That one I'm probably gonna go the same. Number 2, I'll probably go Gretzky and Messier.
Wow.
2.
Wow.
I think, look, I'm not the biggest of hockey fans in the world, but I'm also not gonna downplay that success they had with each other. 3.
You putting them over Jordan and Pippen though.
Dude, they got 5 cups together, 3 gold medals.
4 cups.
4 cups together, 3 gold medals.
Yeah, but I mean, Jordan and Pippen got 6 though, and neither of them won without each other.
Yeah,
that's a real duo. You know what I mean? That's a real duo.
But I also feel like in that case though, Jordan is so much above Pippen, whereas Gretzky is the greatest of all time. But people have Messi in their top 10. People don't really.
That's what I'm saying.
Pippen
look, you're looking
10.
at a 1-2 punch where both players
But that's
I'm not saying Pippen isn't, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? The caliber of both of them and the you know what I mean? They're both top 10 caliber with the accolades. Regardless, let me finish the top 5 first.
But wait, hold on. Who's the greatest duo in not just sports ever?
Batman and Robin, whatever.
Okay, Robin is not on Batman's level, but they're still the greatest duo of all time, right? There's I get that it's like Xavi and Iniesta, they're both freaking great, and you can't go. Obviously Gretzky's better, but you know, we understand that. But he won without him. That's what's troubling me.
Yeah, he won 2 without him.
But 2 without him, yes, 2 without him, and he guaranteed victory.
Yeah, the Rangers one, he guaranteed
Yeah. Anyways, sorry. Paul,
I'm sticking with that. 3rd, I'll put Scotty and MJ and Scotty. 4th, I'll go Shaq and Kobe. 5th. Serena and Venus should be there, and it should all be the same top 5 in a different rotation.
But for the sake of being different, you want to put someone else.
Yes.
Fair.
for the sake of trying to show the caliber of these two.
Modric, Cruz.
Rooney,
That's
Ronaldo.
another one. What?
Rooney, Ronaldo. They don't
That's
have
too
enough
short
time.
of a.
But that
like,
was like that
yeah.
was some of the most
Exciting.
just exciting soccer.
But then you got to throw in Tevez in there too, right? Because like.
Yeah,
No,
but then we're getting into trios, and that could be a different top five.
Yeah, no, that's a completely different topic. I'd still have Xavi and Iniesta at number one because you throw in Busquets in there and they're still dominant.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
Actually, I think I'll probably put Lemieux and Jager.
I like that.
You know what I mean? And Lemieux was like, bar the injuries and everything, Lemieux could have.
That's the
like, you know what I mean?
I think he's the greatest. Sorry, Will. I think he's the second greatest after Crosby, and then I'm just crazy though. But
it's because he was the most physically gifted of the two, right? Like he was 6'4". He wasn't like Gretzky was tall, but he was lanky and skinny, and he even says it himself. Like
Lemieux was different. Lemieux was different.
On a scoring level, they're my fifth. They have what?
That's
they have
fair.
11 scoring titles together and 4 MVP awards.
But the problem is that 2 cups is not enough for me.
Yeah, that to me was
I know. I'm just trying to be different. Show, like, you know what I mean?
I also had we had spoken not in the podcast but outside of the podcast. I wanted to put Maldini Nesta or Maldini Baresi.
Also,
but the problem is that like there's just
the overlaps.
It's just too like Maldini is just he just played too long. Like, he
played over like 20 years. It's hard.
Yeah, like I can't choose
another great.
Exactly, I can't choose between Nesta and him, but you see, Baresi, he was playing left back mainly at that point, so it's not so much of a center back duo per se. Whereas him and Nesta was more of a duo because Maldini at that point was
older
more
and
so playing center back than left back. But yeah, I like our list though. I mean, you don't have Shaq Kobe. It's a little crazy, but whatever. It's fine.
Everyone on the list got 4+ championships. The three-peat's important, and obviously that.
Yeah, well, how many people in your list three-peated? No one, but Jordan and Pippen.
They three-peated twice.
They three-peated twice. There you go. Did Messi and Gretzky three-peat?
I think so. I don't know if there was a gap in between one of them. Let me check.
They might have. They might have.
80. No, they a gap. 84, 85, then 87, 88.
There you go. They didn't three-peat.
They
didn't three-peat. They couldn't three-peat. And if Kelsey and Mahomes win,
if they win one more, I think.
If they three-peat, I'm gonna put them in my top 5.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm putting but Cruz and Modric also honorable mention. Obviously,
they also won a Champions League without Ronaldo, right? You could also happily throw them in there.
So I don't see him as a duo. I see him as a
no,
trio.
but I'm saying you're saying the best player leaves and they still won a chip.
Okay, but no, but they didn't win immediately after. They won actually
2 years
back
after.
the year after you left.
Well, it's because they didn't have a when someone that big, they didn't have a voice. Like before Benzema became what Benzema was after Ronaldo left, everyone looked at Benzema as more of a false 9 type of striker where he was distributing. And then when Ronaldo left, it took a season, but then he found his footing as that number 9 that could score 30 goals a season.
Yes. Yeah. No, they did. They won with the same core, but they didn't win like Gretzky. They won the year after. Like that's like if okay, can you imagine if Jordan the year that he left and Pippen won the championship? Can you imagine the discourse that will be going on about Michael Jordan would not be considered the
greatest. Didn't the Bulls go to the conference finals the first time Michael left?
Conference semis. They lost to the Knicks. Then they should have beat the Knicks. Bad calls. It would, if I'm serious, if Pippen had won the championship the year after Michael Jordan left, Michael Jordan would not be considered the greatest of all time.
Discussions would be very different.
Yes, absolutely. So, anyway, that's episode 2 of Unmatched. Once again, we appreciate you guys for listening and tuning in, and we hope that you continue to. We're gonna provide content as much as possible. But Barry is leaving in March for a little bit, so I don't know what we're gonna do then. But we will, when we have an update, we will let you know. So tune in. We're gonna have some clips for you guys, you know, segments, if you will, about some of the, I guess, interesting, depending on who you are and how you look at it, things that we've said. But yeah, this is episode 2, and we coming with episode 3 next week. So be ready, and we'll let you know when it's out. Paul, Barry, thank you guys. Appreciate you, and we will keep in touch.
Peace.
Peace.